From a little cover, I got my dreams inside. Wrestling on the mat, I go and put up a fight. With every hold and slam, I rise to the peak. Now as Professor Bear, it's my strength that they see. Roaring with knowledge like a lion so proud. In this wrestling world, I'm standing out loud. I'm Professor Bear, got the passion to spare. Wrestling's my life, with the power to share. From the roots to ropes, in the spotlight we gleam. Chasing victory dreams, living out the theme. Now my WOSN, my squad.
Yeah. Hey, new beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
With my forest crew, we'll always ride. In the wrestling world, one just claim the prize.
Welcome, 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 and thank you for joining me today. I am Professor Bear, and this is the Bear's Thoughts. And guys, girls, I have a lot of thoughts going in my head today. And it is because I have been able to talk to so many great promoters in this month, and I am just having a great time. Even the professor is learning things that he didn't know, which is always a great thing, because every day you should learn something that you don't know. You never are too old to learn something new. But with that said, I am talking today with Dangerous Dan, and he is a representative of NetPro Studios. Dan, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing great, Professor. How are you, sir?
Doing well, doing well. Before we get into the discussion, though, I want to let my fans know that you see their logo. The reason why I make sure that you see their logo, so if you enjoy this, you enjoy talking and listening to this discussion, you can go and see what they put on at their center. It is an amazing thing. And if you're anything like Professor Bear, you like when you can get there easier. So I put the QR code that would take you to their Facebook page, so you can get to see some of the shows and events and everything they do. They are a very great company, and that I had the privilege of going up and seeing them in person in December. And I tell you what, the thing that really just stuck out to me, and I just felt it when I walked in, is walking in the Bobby Eaton arena. He deserves so much that they are doing for him. That he deserves more, because he was one hell of a person. It's rare that you don't hear anything bad about a person. And I don't know, I have not ran into anyone that speaks ill of Bobby Eaton as a fan or as a friend, because from what I heard, he was such an amazing guy and would just do great things. But with all that being said, Dan, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask all my guests. How did you become a wrestling fan?
I became a wrestling fan around 13 years old. I'd say sometime between 10 and 13 years old. I caught Saturday night's main event, one of the nights, that they were on NBC. And it was Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, Rick Rude, all the colorful characters of the late 80s, early 90s. I just happened to catch a Saturday night's main event. It's like there's those nights when in the late 80s, early 90s when you was like, oh, you were ready for Saturday Night Live
Right.
and on NBC and everything. And then, if you didn't check the TV guide, you didn't know Saturday night's main event was actually coming on. It wasn't Saturday Night Live. So um, I just happened to catch Saturday night's main event. And that was the start of my love for professional wrestling. I caught it and uh, was, immediately hooked by Hulk Hogan, of course, and just like all the other kids at the time. And it sent me off into other things like local Memphis wrestling. So I'm originally from Memphis, moved to Kingsport about 10 years ago, and I started out in Memphis and lived in Memphis for first 38 years of my life, and got to be around, not in so much the heyday. I was a little kid when Memphis wrestling was in its heyday, and I got to be there on the tail end of when Memphis wrestling kind of like shut down per se. That whole Power Pro, and it was the farm system for WWE, and it's where The Rock actually cut his teeth in the wrestling business, and got over there before he went to WWE and moved on to bigger and better things and everything. So, I mean, just getting to be there and see all that history, and being there and seeing it live on Saturday mornings in Memphis and everything. So the start, though, that was Saturday night's main event. I can say that for sure. So catching WWF in the late 80s, early 90s on Saturday night's main event. That's what started it all. And then that launched me off into the other things. So,
Okay. That is very cool. And me growing up in Knoxville, we rarely got Memphis wrestling, but when I know we had family there, we would go. I definitely tried to figure out the times when it was on so I could watch it.
hmm
When I went to Atlanta, I loved Atlanta back then because they had a wrestling show that went for 8 to 9 hours of nothing but wrestling, and
oh,
it
wow.
wasn't it wasn't even the local wrestling. It was wrestling all over different territories, and I used to just love it. And
Mhm.
when I go visit my sister or my brothers down there, they were like, "Okay, we're gonna go get some meat. Well, go get it. Bring me something back. I ain't moving. Wrestling's on." And
hmm
that's how it went for me. Um,
I would travel a lot too with my dad's job and everything. He was a construction superintendent for Walgreens, so he went from city to city and state to state building Walgreens stores and making sure that they came up the right way and everything and were put together the right way. And so, I mean, that was a lot of time was spent channel surfing trying to find local wrestling everywhere we went. So.
so from how did you go from being a fan to getting in the business?
Well, I did a. There was a. It's almost like a ECW ish um, promotion that ran in Memphis called KAW. That was my first taste of trying to get into the business. I did that probably at 22, maybe 23 years old, and I had a tryout with them, and they actually offered me wrestling training. But at the time, I was not in a very supportive uh, relationship. I'll put it that way. Was not in a very supportive relationship with the person that I was with, and she wanted me to have nothing to do with wrestling. And needless to say, that relationship did not last very long. And the person who I wound up in a relationship with for the last 21, 22 years now, was very supportive of me being in wrestling. And then around about, I skipped about 7 years there where I should have been in wrestling, but I wasn't.
Mhm.
And I got back in at 29. It was like do or die time. This is
Right.
my last ditch effort to try to get into the business and do something with myself. And at 29, I found Nightmare Ken Wayne's school over
Oh, wow.
in West Memphis, Arkansas.
Cool.
And so, Nightmare Ken Wayne being one of the two nightmares, Nightmare Danny Davis went on to found OVW, and Nightmare Ken Wayne, he had his own wrestling school over in West Memphis, Arkansas. So, but yep, I started with Nightmare Ken Wayne about 2000, about October of 2008. I started with him. So
I I love I love the Nightmares for the simple fact they were on Continental Championship Wrestling,
yes,
and I love them. I loved everything. What I didn't love though is when they broke up. That
yeah,
broke my heart. Oh my god. I was so mad at Ken for turning his back on Danny. I was
yeah,
like, no, no. And I just fell in love with him. And I knew both of them had training centers. Um, Danny's just happened to be a more out there and more celebrated,
hmm,
and you could see a lot of different companies that he's worked with over the years.
yep.
But
I mean, that's all the guys that are retiring now and have been working for WWE for the past 20, 25 years. Those are all the guys that OVW created from the ground up. Dr. Tom Pritchard was running training there. Danny Davis was running training there. Jim Cornette, he was on the side, calling the shots and running live shows and doing different things like that. So the success of OVW is very evident when you had the right people in the right place and everything. So I don't think it could be replicated. I think it was a once in a lifetime thing.
I agree with you. It's just the magic was just there at the right time,
Hmm.
and between
Because
and
You got Cena, Batista, Brock
Orton,
Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin,
yeah,
all the just it's a litany and a who's who of wrestling now of guys that have just turned themselves into legends for the past 20 years now.
that is so true. So once you got your training, how long did it take you to do your first professional match?
I started in October of 2008. And then I did not have my first match until I believe it was June 20, somewhere around end of June of 2009. So it was a good 6, 7, 8 months there that I just came in and did the drills, ran through some chain wrestling. It was, just one thing after another, and we kept adding on stuff and adding on stuff and adding on stuff, and then next thing you know, it's time for me to debut, and I have my first match, and I actually got busted open in my first match. This is one of the very few matches I've actually bled in the last 17 years. So,
Wow.
and it was completely by accident too. So
That is definitely interesting that you can you can tell people, hey, I got busted open the first match I had.
hmm
So with doing your career and everything, what possessed you to go from just being a wrestler to starting your own company?
well, I haven't necessarily started my own company as I have started my own wrestling school, and my wrestling school actually evolved into this whole community of just wrestling. It's amazing to me what wrestling can do when it's put in the right spot. I mean, I say it's not I say it's not a promotion, but it is a promotion with all my students involved. Uh, and it's kind of evolved into that. We've done shows in nursing homes We got approached by an activities director for a nursing home. We did a show in a nursing home just up the road here, and provided entertainment for people that can't get out and about. They're stuck in a nursing home. They're elderly, or they've got other medical issues and stuff, and we came and provided them a day of fun with wrestling matches, you know, and how many times you get to say you wrestled in a nursing home,
Exactly. And
So,
immediately, when you saying that, it went to my head because unfortunately my mother is in a nursing home, and I
mhm.
can imagine her watching wrestling and telling everybody, my son's in there, my baby
Yeah.
does wrestling, both my sons do wrestling.
But
So
yeah, I mean, we've done tons of community events. We've been involved in all of the local parades here in Kingsport. We've done 4th of July parade. Fun Fest is a big deal up here in Kingsport. We did the Fun Fest parade. We've done the Christmas parades. We've sponsored a Christmas tree downtown, decorated it with wrestling figurines. We've, just one thing after another. We've been over here to the Churchill Public Library, and we had wrestlers read to kids. When we had our day of fun, our NetPro day of fun for the public library over here in Churchill. So it's just. I say a lot of times is like, man, I just opened this place and people come to me with all these ideas, and I have yet to tell people no on a lot of different things. It's just like one thing after another is like, hey, you think wrestlers would want to read to kids? It's like, I don't see why they wouldn't,
right,
and then you launch off into other things from that, and we've actually got a community day with the Churchill Public Library coming up in April. And the Guardian Riders, who are a benefit group of motorcycle riders up here, they're sponsoring that event, and we'll be doing wrestling out in the parking lot of the Churchill Public Library, and participating with all the community stuff that they're doing. So, it's, I saw a need where wrestling needed to evolve. It needed to push past that whole dichotomy of, well, everybody needs to come to me, and everybody needs to pay for what they're doing, and everybody needs to, if they want me to do this, they have to pay for it and everything. So I don't believe in that. I believe if WWE is doing personal appearances, why can't we?
right.
It's like, and kids gravitate towards this stuff. So it's going and reading to kids and going and participating in community events like that gets more fans in the arena. And a lot of old school promoters, they don't see that. They just see, I'm going to run a show and draw money, 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 money. And I don't see that. I see that wrestling is more than that. And wrestling can, you know, we can entertain people that are having the worst day or of their lives, and make them leave an arena and feeling 10 times better, about everything, about themselves, about the day that they had, or about, just launching off into a great weekend with friends or whatever, and going and seeing wrestling and getting their mind off their troubles for, a day, and just entertaining people. So, I built I built television studios from the start. Like I said, I started in October of 2008. 2 weeks after I started, we literally tore Ken Wayne's building apart and put it back together as a television studio.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first television studio that I helped build ever. I started out with that, and then I stayed with Ken Wayne for about 4 years, and then decided that it was time for me to leave there, and handed him the keys and said, "Hey, I'm going to move on. It's time for me to move on and just do other things." And that's what I did for about 2 or 3 years there. I was on my own, just kind of running around the indie scene over in the Mid-South area, Dyersburg, New Bern, Memphis. I'd go over into Arkansas and wrestle in Tuckerman, Arkansas, and different places over in Arkansas. And I'd go down to Mississippi too and wrestle in different places in Mississippi. And then lo and behold, about 10 years ago, moved to East Tennessee. And at the time, I had kind of stepped away from ring. I'd said, hey, I just need a break, because like
Yeah.
you keep burning the candle at both ends, you're eventually going to get to a point where you're just burned out. And that's what happened with me. I got burned out and I just needed to take a break. And when we moved to East Tennessee, I got hooked up with Tony Givens over here, and he had me doing announcing and commentary for his promotion, which at the time was NWA Smoky Mountain. And so he had one of the NWA franchises at the time, but this was pre Billy Corgan buying
Right.
NWA.
Yes.
So he had one of those pre Billy Corgan franchises that he had paid for and had
Used to
made a name
love
out of that.
watching it. When I found out I could get it down here in Knoxville, that was my thing. I loved watching it.
Yep.
That's how I first learned about the Heat Seekers. When Ricky Morton won the World Junior Heavyweight Championship,
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yes. So again, I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yes, but me and Tony have been working together for the past 10 years, and then I started running training at Ricky Morton School. At the time, it was School of Morton. I started running training there for about 4 years. I went and hooked up with them too. Same thing along the line of 4 years. I spent 4 years at Nightmare Ken Wayne's. I spent 4 years at SOM, and they decided to go a different route than have me running training.
Yeah.
And I handed them the keys and said, I got to move on and do other things then. And that was, turning point for me where I found this place, and I found my niche in the wrestling world, so to speak. I'm a trainer, and I've constantly been training people. By the time I left Ken Wayne's, I was running training there, and that was only 4 years in, and I liked it. I liked teaching people how to do this, and so leaving Ken Wayne's, and then the times that I would be on in the Indies, I'd have guys call me up and say, "Hey, can you work with me in the ring before a show?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I'd show up early and work with them in the ring before the show. And that turned into moving over here and then getting involved at SOM and being a trainer there for 4 years, and then handing the keys to them and being like, if you're not going to have me in charge of training, then that's what I want to do. I'm not going to be here anymore. So and then I just decided it was time to step out on my own. It was time to either 100% get into this or 100% get out of this.
Right.
It's just like I had to test the waters, so to speak. And so for the past 3 years, we've been here at NetPro Studios, and we're in an old elementary school gymnasium. You said you've come and seen us, so you know exactly where it's at and everything. So, but we've been over here in this old elementary school gymnasium for the past 3 years. And I tell people a lot of times the past 3 years have been an experiment to see if my idea can be successful. And I'm not successful on my own. I have plenty of people helping me. That I have Crazy Steve. Actually, I keep looking over my shoulder over here. Like Crazy Steve's fixing to walk in here and start the training session tonight here in about 30 minutes or so.
Oh, okay.
So I've got Crazy Steve, been a fixture on TNA wrestling for the past 15, 20 years. I've got Ricky Morton, need I say more, that comes in and runs training sessions about once every 2 weeks on Wednesdays. And I feel like we have hit, we're setting the bar. I feel like we're setting a bar over here, and it's a tough one because I've told people plenty of times lately, it's like, this ain't me on a whim. This ain't me, when I come home at night. This ain't me on the weekends. This is me 24/7. It's like NetPro Studios has been me 24/7 for the past 3 years. And yes, I take breaks. I take some downtime, but it's to, refocus and recalibrate and get my brain straight. And I jump right back in, and my wife and, kids have been so supportive and everything, and my family's been so supportive of everything. We just had our third anniversary show, and I wrestled my very first student for NetPro, Xander Hendricks. I wrestled him for an hour.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
we we did an hour Iron Man match, and that was as people were coming in the door. We started when we opened doors. We started the match, and then because we opened doors for an hour. Excuse me, we opened doors for an hour before the show starts. And so during that hour, me and Xander Hendricks wrestled an Iron Man match, and people were coming in and sitting down. And by the time it was time to start the show, it was about 7:05 maybe, and it was time to start the show. And that's when our match ended. We did a little 5 minute sudden death and until somebody won, and then so we technically wrestled for about an hour and maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. So, but and then later on that night, I was in a steel cage match to defend the school from getting taken over by the Illuminati here. So,
Oh.
um, so it was me, Crazo, and Crazy Steve taking on Nick Blackwell, C.J. Knight, and Alex Atkins of the Illuminati in a steel cage match. So, but we came out on top of that one, and it was great, man. It was a great night. Emotionally, physically for me. I wanted to wrestle an hour, and that was one of the things that I had to do to graduate Ken Waynes. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me graduating Ken Waynes. I made it to 45 minutes, and then everybody that I could do an hour with either retired or moved away.
Oh wow.
So I've been waiting 17 years to get that hour match, and I got that hour match last Saturday. So I'm pretty happy with myself at this point. So
Good, good.
but yeah, man, it's been a long road to get to this point. There's been twists and turns, and just doors slammed shut, and when you get a door slammed shut in your face, you either open it back up or you find another door. So, and I think I found my door.
The the one thing that really stands out to me is the reputation that NetPros has, even from Knoxville, a good hour, maybe
Hmm.
hour 20 minutes, whatever. But when I get to talk to people, it, they are mentioning it. I was very fortunate to come up in December when y'all were doing the benefit. I was proud to be there to
Hmm.
do the little I did, but I was still proud to be there.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing how the show ran,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, especially nowadays, um, I understand there is different styles and everybody does booking different, but for that show, how interactive the wrestlers were with the fans,
Hmm.
even, and what stood out to me is a wrestler went to yell at this little boy and girl, and the little girl got scared, and the little boy
Hmm.
just grabbed her, hold her, and he couldn't have been more than 5, 6 years old, and
Hmm.
I assumed it was his little sister.
Yeah.
He caressed her, and he stood. He didn't flinch, didn't move from that guy messing until he left his sister alone. And I just love that interaction.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was such a great event, and uh,
Yeah. That was the toy drive event you're talking about, right? I think.
no, it was for oh what's her name? What's her name? Lord,
Was it Nicole Payne?
yes,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
yes,
Because we had a Nicole Payne benefit, and we had this past December was the toy drive benefit. So it
yeah.
was the December before probably that we did the Nicole Payne benefit show. Yeah. So, but yeah. Uh, Nicole was in dire straits, and we came together as a community of wrestling big brothers for Nicole and everything, and put that show together, and was able to get her and her kids into a good safe space at the time. So that was good. I being able to do stuff like that, and two, we've helped pay for funerals. We've uh, like I said, we did the toy drive show where instead of people paying for a ticket, you brought a toy and you did the whole give us a toy and one toy per person coming in the door, and then next thing you know we've got like an entire carload full of toys. That's probably like 100 and I'd say we had like probably 150 toys, and then we had like probably around $600 donated to go shopping with, to buy
Cool.
toys, and so we took all that over to Nicewanger Children's Hospital. So yeah.
That I love when a promotion is more than a promotion.
Hmm.
You're community driven. You have so much love and respect for the community you're in, and y'all just give back. That's some of the most amazing things that um, I think wrestling does that really doesn't get talked about
Hmm.
as much. You- And it could be I had the privilege of talking to Silas Mason when he first won the NWA championship.
Good old Silas, yes sir.
Yeah. So the one thing we kind of talked over was when he had a house fire and him and his girlfriend lost everything. And he told me that he told her, "Don't worry about it. Wrestling has got us. They
Yeah.
got us." And of course, everybody came to help make sure they were taken care of. And that's
Hmm.
what I love. No matter how you may feel about a person, you realize that's your brother or that's your sister in the sport, and
Yep.
you take care of your brother and sister as as much as you can, and you be there for them. And that's what I truly do love about
Hmm.
wrestling.
Yep. We're all one big happy dysfunctional family.
Yes, yeah. So with your training, let's dive into that a little bit more. Um, how long do you run classes before you give a guy or girl a chance to uh, do their first match?
Well, my training is a lot different from what other training places do right now. I start out with the basics of basics. And if you're athletic, if you're already in a sport, most of the time you have a leg up on that. You're already taught, how to balance on your feet and do different things like that. But if you're not athletic, and you're going to have a harder time. So it starts out with rolls and hitting the ropes and bumping and doing different things like that. So we teach a beginner class, like straight up from the ground up. I've never been in a ring before. I want to learn this. We teach a beginner class that is like that. And we also, like last night, I had former NWA women's world champ Kenzie Page in the house over here, just trying out moves, trying out different things in the ring that she wanted to work on. So we've got from beginner level all the way to a world champ. Coming in here and just getting ring time. Getting opinions on what looks good and what doesn't, and so it's really like a conglomeration of different things. Is like I teach in tiers where it's beginner, intermediate, and then advanced. Um, and from the time you start, average, I would say it's 6 to 8 months before your first match. If it's taking longer, then something's up, and we need to just keep working away at it until it gets better. But average, I would say 6 to 8 months. If you're athletic, it's going to take less time than that. If you're athletic and already in the gym and working out and have the physique and have the like I said, just the wherewithal and the athleticism and everything, it takes less time. But like just with me, it took it took 6 to 8 months for me to get my body right and to get all the steps down that I needed to get down to have that first match. So I kind of keep it within that 6 to 8 month parameter. We teach 5 days a week. So we're here Sundays 1 to 5, and then Mondays through Thursdays 6 to 10. And we start out with just rolling around, getting warmed up. We do chain wrestling, we do takedowns, and then we work into matches sometimes, or we work into drills. And if there's something that we see everybody needs work on, then we work on that. So, but a lot of my guys, they can work the beginners. There's a lot of my guys that are in the intermediate. They can work with the beginners and bring them up to that intermediate point. So it's actually encouraged to do that. So it's not a whole competition where we're seeing who can get through the system first. I see a lot of the training schools out there. They do like a 12-week boot camp, and then they kick you to the curb, and then you either sink or swim.
Right.
And I don't believe in that. That may work for them as to get money and to make money, but with me, it's a thing for me to tell you you're a NetPro guy, okay? That you're trained by Dan Matthews, that you trained by Crazy Steve, and you're trained by the ones that come in here and do the work and put the time in and do the in-ring work with you and everything. It's a thing to say you were trained at NetPro. So I see a lot of the ones that are out there that I was trained by so and so. Oh, well, I know that's a 12-week program or a 16-week program or whatever. Did that person actually pay attention, and did they learn anything in that 12 to 16 weeks? And sometimes those guys go through 12 to 16 weeks and they are, maybe they got injured on week 1 or something. And then next thing you know, it's like, all they did was sit through class the rest of the time because they got injured on day 1. Well, you didn't learn anything. You didn't do anything.
Right.
So, it's just, and they still got a piece of paper that says they were trained by so-and-so. So, but it is what it is, with 12 and the 16-week programs and all that stuff and everything like that. I'm not a fan of it. It works for some people.
Right.
So, but the whole thing about about my training is we drill you on your time. You have your own schedule. We drill you on your time. And we have that 5-day-a-week schedule for a reason, because like not everybody can come in for 5 days a week.
Right.
So hang on one sec. Pick up.
It's a good thing, guys and girls, to learn these things.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Did that happen to be Crazy Steve?
Not yet.
I was gonna say,
he'll be here momentarily.
I was going to tell you to pass him a message. He's not that crazy. He does not want to mess with Professor Burr. I'm just warning him. That's all I am.
Yeah. Can we pause and take a break for like maybe 2 minutes? I need to run out and do something right quick.
No problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can come right back. I just have to move my car right quick. It's in the way of somebody.
That's fine.
All right. I'll be right back.
All right. Guys and girls, again, this is some of the amazing things that you are getting to find out with NetPro Studios. Again, I did have the privilege of going up there. They have a really good place. I love the setup. It looks amazing. I think they do a tremendous job with working with people. And that's the thing. Everybody does not go on the same frequency to train and learn. So they have to learn how you are as far as learning things, so they can train you where you getting these steps. It's such an amazing thing to see in person. Um, I've gotten the chance to go to a couple of different training schools, and again, I was blown away by the dedication and for everything that they did. It was an amazing thing, and it gave me more clarity on what the men and women go through to learn to be trainers and to get
All
into.
right, and I'm back.
So, you've been going strong for these past years, and again, I think you are leaving a great mark on the business because I've never heard a bad word about NetPro Studios. I really hadn't.
No, that's my goal. You know, that's the thing is like, you never heard a bad word about Bobby Eaton. That's the reason why we put Bobby Eaton in here as our arena dedication. So that, you know, I'm using that as a business model. You know, we're putting good out into the world. You
Right.
know, like there's a shortage of good in wrestling behind the scenes, especially on the indie scenes.
Right.
You know, there's a lot out there that, you know, it's, you know, for lack of a better term, it's you know, it's a crap show on a lot of places, you know, and you know, it's guys that have, you know, copied what they've seen on TV and they're practicing it in their backyard, you know, and I don't like that. You know, it's, you know, get professionally trained. Get professionally trained and, you know, come in here, do the work. Otherwise you're what, and I've heard this term said recently, you're cosplaying being a pro wrestler is basically what you're doing. So until you take it seriously and you get professionally trained, you're cosplaying being a professional wrestler. So,
And the thing too that I don't think people really get, you are taking someone else's life in your hands.
yes.
You definitely have to take this seriously
Hmm.
because you wrestlers do so many uh different moves where they're dependent on their opponent to understand what they're doing, be in the spot they need to, and to have fun.
Hmm.
So if you're not serious about being trained and listening to people try to train you, don't get in the business.
And I ask people a lot of times is like, if, and this is a test for me a lot of times to see to see people's viewpoints, you know, and this is what I asked them. I was like, how do you watch wrestling? Do you watch wrestling and go, oh, that was a cool move? Or do you watch wrestling and go, why did they do that move? Why did they do that move at that part of the match? You
Right.
know, like I ask that a lot of times, and that tells me a lot of what I want to know sometimes about people and how they work. This is like, how do you watch wrestling? Do you watch it like, oh, that was a cool move, I got to work that in, or did you understand why they did that move, where they did that move in the match, or whatever? It's a whole psychology thing. So that's what a lot of I work to do too, is like to understand where and how and why you do what you do in the order that you do it in the ring. So,
Right. And that's what most people don't understand, the level of storytelling that
hmm,
that women and men do when they wrestle. And like
yes,
you said, I for myself, I definitely look at wrestling different than most people because I know the nuances. I know what, and like you said, know why they did it, and if it was the right time to do it in the match, or what if they messed up. How do
hmm,
they correct it? How do they
yep,
go from there? Do they just really just destroy the match with one mess up, or do they go ahead and try to fix it and
Mm.
work it into the match?
Mhm.
A lot of times I have to tell myself, enjoy it,
Yep.
because I'm so trying to analyze it. And it's like, damn, just
That's the
stop.
thing, you know, and that's the thing is like I feel like a lot of fans have forgotten how to enjoy wrestling. I think that's exactly what's happened. I think they've forgotten how to enjoy wrestling, and I I hate to. I'm not going to slam Jim Cornette, but I think everybody thinks they're Jim Cornette, and they can critique, and they can, you know, they can say stuff like, you know, this is wrong or that's wrong, and I'd done something different. No, you're like, yeah, everybody would have done something different, but guess what? You're not the one writing the show. You're not the one in charge. You're not the one making millions of dollars a year that has the television and the sponsors to worry about, and the, you know, executives and all these other people breathing down your neck telling you, hey, you can't do this, or hey, you can't do that. So, you know, TV's written for TV for a reason. You know,
Right,
it's like, and everything's a factor. Everything's a factor, you know, and it's not just one guy. You know, I that's one of the things too. Is like I hear lately is like a lot, everybody's down on Triple H. I'm like, he ain't the one. You know, it's like I did a WWE interview in 2014, 2015, probably 2014, and I had a I had a shot at doing a match with Ryback, but I didn't get it, and I knew I wasn't going to get it. I was 6'2". I was just as tall, if not taller, than Ryback at the time, and they needed a guy to go out and get beat up, and I knew I wasn't going to get that. But I knew the guy that was sitting next to me that was a foot shorter than I was, that was smaller than I was. I was like looking at him, going, totally, you're going to get this. I know you are. So, and they took us back to the writer's room so the guys could look us over and decide which one was going to actually go out and get beat up by Ryback. And before we even walked through the door, I was looking at the guy. I was like, you've got this. He's like, what? I was like, you are going to do this. I am not going to do this. And they're going to take one look at me and see I'm 6'2", 240 pounds, and be like, no, it's going to be better if he beats up the little guy. And that's exactly what happened. But I got to go in the writer's room. Not a lot of people get to go in the writer's room, if any at all. And there's 30 people that write SmackDown. There's not one person that writes SmackDown. There's 30 people that write SmackDown.
wow,
So yeah, and that was the funny part. Was like we got brought into the back of the room. Vince McMahon's at the front of the room, and you know, he looks back at us and goes, "Gentlemen," you know, and his grovelly voice and everything was. We both nod our head and go, "Yes, sir," and doing okay today. Yes, sir, doing good. You know, and it was like being at the back of the class and hitting the front of the class with a spitball. 30 people turned around and looked at us with their heads, you know, and it was like, oh crap, this is what this feels like. So yeah, doing that, and then you know, I told him, I did, I was 100% correct in the fact that they were going to pick him, because you know, like I said, they're going to pick the small guy to get beat up. They're not
right,
going to pick the 6'2", 240-pound guy to, you know, look like, you know, oh my god, Ryback's a monster. Yeah, well, this guy's taller than Ryback, and he's still beating him up, but doesn't look as menacing.
right.
So but you know, that's the thing, is like, it's not one person that controls that company. It's multiple people that control that company. So,
And,
you know,
and
and the critiques and everything come from all areas and everything. And I get it. I get down on a lot of things where, you know, I just have to shut social media off sometimes, where it's just like everybody's critical of wrestling. Everybody thinks they can do it better until they're there and they can actually do it. They aren't going to understand that they can't do it. So
one thing I've been saying about Triple H is he's not Vince. It's a big difference when you own something
mhm.
versus you have a boss.
Yes.
Because you can do whatever you want if you own it,
Yep.
versus you have to answer to someone else. They tell you they don't like it.
Hmm.
You go back to the drawing board. So I think a lot of criticism of him has been blown out of proportion, but there are points like any other critiquing of anything, you could be 1,000% wrong, but have a little smidge of correctness in what you're saying.
Hmm.
So I just like, as my friend says all the time, just shut up and enjoy wrestling.
Exactly. We should just shut up and enjoy it, So that's a
So
great outlook to have.
it is, and like you, I have to decompress sometimes. I suck in wrestling almost damn near every day.
Hmm.
So there's days it's like I'm not going to cut my computer on. I'm not going to watch any wrestling match unless I just have a desire to watch certain things that I enjoy. But I try to, like you said, I try to recalibrate, get a fresh set of eyes, and go do it.
Yep. And
What is
the funny thing is I don't watch wrestling. I watch wrestling to review it with these guys over here and to show them good matches and good psychology and what they need to be doing.
right?
That's when I watch wrestling. It's like I don't go home and immediately turn on Monday Night Raw on Netflix to see what happened. I don't know what happened. And, like I get my results through Facebook and stuff like that. It was like last night they had the AJ Styles tribute, and I was like, oh, that sounded like a good show. Maybe I need to watch that one. It's like,
You definitely want to watch when AJ come out and that part. The
yep,
show for itself, you didn't miss nothing.
didn't miss much.
And the fact, well, let me take that lie back. You missed that there is some cosmic force against anyone in the Vision because Bronson
Yes,
Reed
I heard he got injured. I heard he
and
got injured.
and it was the flukiest injury because I was watching it and I saw it and I'm like, how the hell he can't be hurt? He didn't do nothing. He jumped and just flipped the guy with his arm. And I'm like, come on. Then when I heard
That's the thing.
it's
And
like,
see, that's the thing. You can get injured doing the smallest things like that.
exactly.
You can get injured doing the smallest things like that, and people don't realize that. Is if your arm's not tensed up enough when you're holding somebody up, yeah, you can go separate your shoulder or something, and that's just what it is. So,
Um, with that being said, I want to thank you for coming on the show and having this conversation with me.
no, thank you for having me.
Man, I love it. Again, I love everything you're doing up there. And when I tell you, when I talk to different wrestlers and they rave about me coming to see it live, and oh God, they're gonna kick my ass. I know it because I'm blanking on their names. But did an interview and they were there, and
Hmm.
I could hear the train in the background.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, you got to come. And I'm like, okay. And I finally was able to come up and they wrestled. And it's so funny to me how
Hmm.
how the wrestlers have taken me on and treat me like a brother. Because I don't care where I'm at. I could be sitting just watching the show. They recognize, oh, there he is. They come try to talk to me. And it's like, guys, I'm just another guy. But I understand and we get to talking and stuff. When I walked in, and it was Ricky Morton was there, and he was at his desk, selling stuff.
Hmm.
He saw me. Hey, Bird, come on here, and went talked to him, and he was telling all the guys, you need to give him your number. You need to give him your number. If you want to do a podcast and you want it right, give this man your number. He will make you look like $1 million. How many people can say they have a Hall of Famer
Exactly.
talk about them? And he did my show. I didn't ask him to do my show. He wanted to do it. Again, that says so much that I must be doing something right. I have that level of respect.
Hmm.
And again, that's what NetPro Studios y'all have a level of respect that goes far beyond where we think, because again, never heard a bad word. And people, man, you got to go. You got to get up there. You got to
Hmm.
get. I'm telling you. And when I came, I was impressed and thought to myself, they told me no lies. This is great. I love the atmosphere. I love. I watched when y'all built the second ring and was training in it.
Hmm.
Even the guys and girls that learning how to do it, and it's like, yes, they need everything. You need to know how to build, how to tear it down.
Yep.
You got to learn the psychology of it. You have
Hmm.
to learn the ins and out. And the most important thing is learn to be respectful.
Yes. 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 Yes.
It's so many people out here. Again, I've been blessed, knock on wood, to talk to so many people, and no one can tell you I was disrespectful or arrogant to them. I
Hmm.
showed them respect. Had a chance to go into a company's locker room. I told them I didn't want to go. I didn't feel like I earned that privilege. I was not going. And they respected me for that. And in
That's
the
cool.
end, I think in the end, I think it's just wrestling is just a great art, and we have so many great people that continue that art, like yourself, to train it, giving people knowledge. And again, I want to thank you for that, to keep the legacy going. After we're gone, we know wrestling is in good hands, and they're going to keep it going on and on.
Yeah, and I do. I'm one of two guys that are left in the wrestling business that were trained the way I was trained. Um, there was four, and now it's dwindled down to two, and it may be dwindling down to one before too long. I don't know. It may be just me before it's all said and done. But now, training the way that I was trained, I passed that on to these NetPro guys, and now there's 30 guys that know what I know. So
Exactly.
that now I'm not alone.
And they can pass it on. And that's
Yes,
what I love about it. Again, thank you so very much for coming on. I'm so glad that you were able to, and we have to do this again really soon.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm up for it anytime.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Bear.
Guys, girls, thank you so much for joining us around the campfire for another amazing conversation. Again, I'm a big stickler on respect, and no matter where you go, no matter who you see, if you see a wrestler, show them some appreciation, thank them. You don't have to uh, necessarily kiss their ass, but be humble and grateful for what they do for our entertainment, to help us forget about our troubles for a few hours. It helps so much, and they love hearing that.
Hmm.
So
We love hearing it. We love hearing thank you, even if it's just thank
exactly.
you. So just like that's the thing is like you can say thank you, and that means all of much in the world and everything. Is like I was I was a heel over in Asheville, North Carolina, and I had people hating my guts 5 seconds after I walked out there. Literally, I had people booing me out of the building, and that's exactly what I wanted. And then I went and did my thing in the ring, did my thing, got out, was leaving that night, and two or three carloads came up while I was loading my stuff in the car and said, "Thank you, Dan," and just drove right on. And that was it. That's all they had to say. I didn't, and they were like, I did my job where I had people hating me so much that they loved me before I got out of the building.
That shows how great of a performer you are, and how they appreciate it, because Again, you can't have a good guy without a bad guy.
Exactly. But that's all you got. That's all you got to tell them though is thank you. Just say thank you.
Exactly.
They just say thank you. We enjoyed the show. It was great. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all you got.
So, guys and girls, before I always leave, I tell you, go, please, 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 go and support your local indie promotion. These men and women are working hard at their craft to entertain you. You have a different feel with indie promotions versus the bigger promotions. Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other. What I'm saying is you have the feel is different in indies. You actually get to talk to the wrestlers. You get to enjoy yourself and actually go in with money in your pocket and leave with money in your pocket because you don't have to mortgage your house to get nosebleeds tickets. And so, again, support your local indie promotion. With that being said, I am Professor Bear. This has been a Bear's Thought, and we will see you around the campfire very, very soon. Y'all take care.